Rugby World Cup qualifying this weekend, folks. It's Chile up against the US. First of two games to see who can qualify for that second America's spot at the Rugby World Cup. Chile is hosting the first one. The US is hosting the return leg next week. It's 23rd in the world against 17 in the world. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll go through the lineups, some recent results, and the predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. I should say for you guys in the States, Flow Rugby is broadcasting this game, plus next week's game and all of the other July internationals between all the kind of tier 1 teams. So if you guys want to check out this very important game in US Rugby or the other games which just happen to be on, check out the link in the description. Flow Rugby is an affiliate. And happy days. Watch some rugby. So for the Chilean guys, I will be very upfront with you in that I'm not very familiar with their squad. I do not watch the SLAR. I don't know most of their players. I know they beat Canada en route to this game. They beat them. They lost their first game, I think 22-21. It was only a 1-point game. But then on the return leg, Chile managed to come back strong and kind of overcome the 1-point deficit. So in this game, they'll be looking to get any kind of lead they can, because on the return leg heading to the States, you'd probably be back in the States a bit more. So it's a really important one for the Chilean guys to get off on the front foot. I do know about this Chilean squad. They played Scotland A the other day. They lost 45 points to 5, but they don't get many games up against opposition of that level, so I wouldn't be reading too much into it. Their recent results, like I say, knocking off the Canadians. I think they beat Russia in a couple of games before, last year, before the kind of world went a bit crazy. The Chilean squad, I think, is definitely a squad on the up. It's a squad on the rise. And as far as I'm aware, most of their squad plays for the same team in the SLAR. So they have that benefit of cohesion. Sometimes when you bring a team together, which might be full of stars, they don't necessarily gel together, or they don't get that much time together. The Chilean squad, I believe, has the kind of opposite issue. I'm not sure that they've got any huge names in their squad, and none of the guys that kind of I'm aware of that are playing top 14 or premiership or anything. But with a squad being together week in, week out, they should be able to perform better than maybe the on-paper reputation would show. Carrasco, Bohme, and Dittus, excuse the pronunciation, is the front row. I know the hooker plays in the MLR for Dallas. That's about as much insight I've got to that. The props seem to be pretty big boys, kind of 110, 120 kilo units. Pedrero and Eissmann are the locks, and then Sigren is captain on the blind side. Saavedra is moved from the second row from that Scotland game into the back row, and then Martínez is up from the bench at number 8. Carvallo is the preferred guy to start at 9 alongside Fernández. I think they play together in the SLAR, so that kind of 19 combo should have that, like I mentioned, that cohesion, that chemistry that they play together, week in, week out, their regular club rugby. And then Larenas and Garafulic, that's Matías, who moves from wing into outside centre. So it's a kind of new midfield combination compared to the team that played against Scotland. The other Garafulic, that's Nicolás, is on the right wing. Velarde is on the left wing. And then Videla up from the bench to fullback. So, like I said, I think they've got a couple of injuries sustained in the Scotland game. I believe they've got a relatively big pack. All the talk is that the Chilean guys will kind of want to slow the game down, and that the American guys will want to kind of play them off their feet. So we'll see if that comes to pass. I am keen to see how the Chileans go, because like I said, I don't get to see them very often at all. Apologies, I don't have a Chilean jersey, but I've got the Uruguayan one because they knocked the States out. They're America's one spot, and they seem to be showing a bit of kind of South American brotherhood and getting behind the Chilean boys. For the States, they beat the French Barbarians the other day. They actually looked all right in that game. They did have some issues, I will admit, like the line-out had some problems. That'll need to be much better. And that's one of the things that I think, because the States squad, I do know well enough, the guys from all these different teams need to come together. So Gary Gold's got a bit of a mission to get everybody on the same page. So the line-out, it's good the issues were exposed last week rather than this week. But Ainu'u, Taufete'e and Mullen are the front row. So Taufete'e is up from the bench to start this week. Peterson and Saavedra, that's the same locking duo, but they've swapped jersey numbers, so whether they're going to pack down different positions in the scrum remains to be seen. Bonasso, Gomes and Dolan are the back row. Dolan, as I mentioned last week, very good line-out time. Bonasso, a bit of a tackling machine, and then Gomes does a bit of everything. So I do like the back row. Haas and McGinty, that seems to be the preferred 19 combo for Gary Gold. I did mention that Haas doesn't get that many minutes at his club over at Saracens, but he seemed to be sharp enough last week. He kicked a pretty good droppy, which is one thing you've got to watch out for him, because if you do a goal line dropout, he's got a huge boot that he can just kick it straight back at you. But McGinty pulling the strings at 10 is going to be an important player for them. Campbell and Lopeti's the same midfield. Lopeti very strong ball carries. Josefo comes in on the left wing. Christian Dyer still on the right wing. And then Braki is still at fullback. Bench-wise, Pifoletti is dropped to the bench. Wengelski and McKellen are the other props. Mahoney and Jason Dam is interesting to come in on the bench for potentially his first ever Eagles cap, which is a pretty high pressure game to do that. Tamalau was also in there, and then it's just the two backs with Augsburger and Cardi at 22 and 23. So a 6-2 split for the States, maybe giving a bit of credit to all the talk about that Chilean pack being large. They want to kind of fight fire with fire. So yeah, recent results between these squads is an interesting one, because the last result that I could find, wait, is it 6 or is it 8? 71 points the States put on the Chileans. My notes here say 6, but I've written 8 on the board. Either way, it doesn't make much difference. It was a bit of a hiding the last time they played, but I feel like so much has changed since even 2019, right? The Chileans, as I mentioned, are absolutely a team on the rise. They seem to be kind of coming well, producing some good homegrown players. The States, I'm not sure you could say they're a team on the rise, right? Because, I mean, historically, they would have beaten a team like Uruguay for that America's one spot, but they seem to have fallen below the level that Uruguay is at. So, yeah, this is a really important game for the States to kind of show us what they are about as well. But yeah, should be pretty interesting. Predictions-wise, the Rugby Forecast algorithm's got the USA by 6 points. So it's not exactly kind of emphatic stuff like the last time they played in Santiago. So, yeah, I am pretty fascinated to see how this one goes. Obviously, it's a Rugby World Cup qualifier, so very important. Remember, it's 2 legs. So the winner of this game does not have anything set in stone. It's just an advantage or disadvantage going into the second leg. So whoever wins on aggregate is going to take things home. So we still have to wait another week to get the final result. But yeah, Nick Berry is the ref. It is on from Santiago in Chile. I think it's a 6 p.m. local kickoff on Saturday. So that'll be Sunday for those of us here in NZ. You'll have to check who your local broadcasters are. But like I mentioned, for those of you in the States, it is on Flow. Link reminder in the description. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. Who would you like to see win? Are you backing the Chileans to go as close as they've ever gone to a Rugby World Cup? Or would you like to see the States kind of pick up and get back into that Rugby World Cup spot? Because they've not missed a World Cup since like 95. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. And yes, I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.